Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the iTunes Fanboy Podcast, or TIFP. I apologize for my automated litter box running in the background, but as always, I am your I am Teddy from the iTunes Fanboy.
My name is DeWolf.
And let's get into it. So our first news topic is that there is a 15-inch MacBook Air potentially releasing between April and June of 2023 that might even have the M3 chip.
Yes! I think we all know my thoughts about rumors for bigger screen laptops. It should be pretty obvious what I think.
What does Tabby think about that?
I don't know. The MacBook is pretty boring. It's not a computer that I would buy, and if it had a 15-inch version, that would just make the lineup more confusing. But I guess I do miss the 15-inch screen size. So then we'll finally have 13 and 15-inch screen sizes again. So you can get 13 through 16 inches now, I guess. So you get 13, 14, 15, or 16. So that's interesting.
I actually think that
I'm just grateful that those who want I'm just grateful that those who wanted a not necessarily super performing high-end laptop, but those who want a bigger screen, they finally get it. They don't have to spend $2,500 on a laptop just so they can get a big screen on it. To me, that is ridiculous. Apple took way too long to
If there was a 16-inch MacBook Air, would you have bought it over your M1 Pro MacBook Pro?
Probably.
I would still need, even if there was a 15, even though I need the bigger screen, I would still have to buy a MacBook Pro just because I need the performance. On one hand, I think the 15-inch MacBook Air is great, and I still think now that it's still pretty easy for a 15-inch laptop to be portable, so I don't think it's really violating the Air name very much.
Oh.
However, there's one concern.
People who say the 16-inch MacBook Pro isn't portable, they're crazy. That's just not true.
However, there's one I don't think. Then that'll put the 14-inch MacBook Pro in an awkward position. So I think that if Apple does introduce the 15-inch MacBook Air, I think the only fair thing to do is to discontinue the 14-inch MacBook Pro because it just doesn't have a place in the lineup anymore.
Well, it does, though, because if you want a lot of power without a 16-inch form factor, then you buy the 14-inch MacBook Pro.
Yeah, but at the same time, Apple's...
However, and some people are just after performance. They don't necessarily care about things like
some people
I do.
Connect it up to a monitor.
It does make it makes it a little more confusing in my opinion, but again, that's just me.
I think that thing should be like 1,500, 1,600, because I think 2,000 for that thing. Just buy a 16-inch. Like, unless you really need portability, just buy a 16-inch at that point. And I'm the person that typically does not like big devices, but I'm like, the 14-inch just doesn't make sense to me, really, to buy at its current price point, unless you get it at, like, a deal or something,
Yeah, I don't really see much of a point to buying a 14-inch MacBook Pro myself because usually bigger power means that you need a bigger screen, but...
Oh, not really, but...
Not necessarily.
I just think that, the price range on that is just stupid.
Yeah, that's exactly right, because people pay more for bigger screens. And why would you pay more for a smaller screen? I know it is a bit dumb, but on one hand, but on the other hand, it's going to work because the iPhone 14 Pro is selling like hotcakes while the 14 Plus is barely selling anything.
Well, the way I see the MacBook lineup working out, should it be 13-inch MacBook Air, 15-inch MacBook Air, 14-inch MacBook Pro, 16-inch MacBook Pro? Personally, I think the Air and the Pros, they're just catering to two completely different people. So they will buy the respective laptops they need, including those who baby prosumers but don't want the bigger screen, or whatever dumb justification they think that downsizing the screen, meaning removing more screen real estate from your available workspaces, whatever their strange justification for it is. I'm sure every laptop does have its market.
Well, I'd honestly say, to me at least, I prioritize portability over screen real estate for two. So there's two classes of devices. There's devices that you take everywhere, Apple Watch, iPhone, and there's devices that will usually stay at home, MacBook Pro, iPad Pro. Because an iPad Pro 12.9, that makes sense, because if you need to take it somewhere, you can. But an iPhone, I will probably always go for the smallest screen size, because that's something you're always going to have on you, and it's more of a utility to a lot of people than it is a media consumption device. And to me, I understand where you're coming from, but portability for me just is, it's what I need for the phone, because I don't want to be carrying around whatever the 14 Pro Max is, like a
6.7 inches.
yeah, a brick. Because I had one of those, and that was not, it was just not the phone that I wanted. Couldn't stand using that thing. I regret buying that so much.
That's funny because the reason why I get the bigger screens is because of the utility aspects. It's because I use the devices. If I generally do not care or use the devices that much, then screen size becomes less of a factor to me. But because I use everything, it does matter. Just kind of funny how we justify the same thing for different reasons.
Have you used a non-Pro Max phone? Like, have you ever tried using like a 14 Pro or anything like that? Because honestly, I don't think iOS takes advantage of the bigger screen, and I think that I can get the same thing done on my Pro as you can on your Pro Max.
I have used.
You need bigger font size or something.
Well, here's the thing. I have used smaller phones, smaller iPhones. Yes, my aunt has. She used to daily the her 10s, and then she upgraded that to a. Yeah, she's on a 2-year contract. So she did the 10s. She upgraded to the 12 Pro, and now she's on the 14 Pro. So I have held the smaller versions of the iPhones, but I just prefer the bigger phone.
I guess it's probably because you're used to it, and you don't upgrade your phone that often, so.
Yeah, actually, I've been debating, like really debating now, actually putting my SIM card back in the 10s Max.
Oh no,
I think
don't
I'm
do
done
that.
trying to live with this.
You're losing promotion, you're losing, you're losing battery life, you're losing, I guess you would probably be against that because you're losing screen real estate. Pro Max is bigger than the regular Max.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's funny. It's only like 0.2 inches. So yeah, I would technically be losing 0.2 inches of screen real estate, but it doesn't feel like it actually.
Oh
To
my
me,
gosh.
The 10s Max, I actually think the form factor of that for mine was pretty good. I hate the phone, but I think the form factor is decent on the 10s Max. That was the last Max phone that I really enjoyed using. Well, 12 Pro Max was alright, I guess, so.
Well, what about the 11 Pro Max?
11 Pro Max, yeah, but I've never had an 11 Pro Max personally.
I have, and
Oh.
it was pretty fun to use, but I am glad to be on the smaller screen real estate of the iPhone 14 Pro, because my 11 Pro Max, I mean, you guys know how much it was driving me up the wall last fall.
Yeah, sounds like me with like my there really hasn't been a time where I've had like a truly like terrible phone in the last few years, so I guess me and my Pixel 4a.
What? Wait a second. Did you just say you haven't had a terrible phone the past few years? And I thought you've had a few 10s's.
Well, yeah, but those are not new, so I don't really count those. The 10s is at that point, it's old news that those have issues, so
That
I'm
is
not gonna
true.
go on going on with that because
The 10s
at
does
some
not
point,
matter anymore.
yeah, at some point those
Well, it still does to me. It always has a special place in my heart, and yeah, I really want to go back to it.
Alpha, you're not gonna care about the 10s Max anymore once the 15 Ultra comes out with its or Pro Max, excuse me, with its USB-C port and its curved design. You're not gonna care about the 10s Max and as much
Well,
because it'll have the superior port, and you'll be able
yeah,
to
I
sell your
understand
13
that,
Pro
but
Max to get the 15 Pro Max.
I had to transfer
well, here's the
28
thing.
stuff from Lightning today.
Well, here's the thing. I need to clear this up. So, the way I'm seeing it is there's two different sides to me. And yeah, the tech enthusiast side to me, it knows that technically this is a better phone. Better cameras, ProMotion display, yada yada yada, various other things like that. But what about the real personal me? I've covered this in my latest vlog on my vlog channel. And my personal me, responsible me, doesn't really care for this. I just keep telling myself, I'm not using this any differently than the Tennis Max. So why should I have bothered spending that money anyways?
Well, here's the other thing though. The camera quality, that's a big difference.
It is.
I don't notice it.
You don't use it, so
Do you guys watch Talos of Tech?
Yes.
well sometimes.
He downgraded from his 13 Pro Max to an iPhone 10 recently.
That's so stupid.
And nobody on his channel, he uses his iPhone camera for recording a lot of stuff. Nobody on his channel even noticed he downgraded his phone.
Why did he downgrade?
Because he's battling smartphone addiction.
What is downgrading to a older phone going to do? The 10 is
Because it has worse battery life, meaning that he has to now be more careful with how much battery life it has. He also wants to cover... He originally wanted to not upgrade to the 14 Pro just because he wanted to cover the experience of owning a phone long term because he's never really done that before. And, well, why wait for his 13 Pro Max to age when there are other iPhones out there that have aged now? And the last detail is because his mom was begging for him to upgrade to a new phone because the way his family works in terms of smartphone upgrades is his parents get one of his old phones.
That's
One of his
it's
parents
the
has
opposite in my family.
so the same way that mine works, pretty much, except for mine. Whenever I get a new phone, I give my old one to my mom, pretty much. So right now she's on a 13 Pro Max, and when I get the 15, it's probably gonna be a 14 Pro, or maybe keeps the Pro Max another year, depending on if I keep the Pro after or trade it in. I'm leaning towards keeping it right now.
But yeah, he had a lot of reasons to switch back to an iPhone 10. But the point being, he switched back to it longer than we thought, and he used the camera within that time when we didn't know he was using it. Nobody noticed. Nobody notices the difference.
Yeah, but that's not a good way to really do your stuff, because under that, assumption, you could use whatever you want, and that just kind of seems like in the end, you're going to be the one who bought a phone with this nice camera, and then in 5 years when the camera actually does start aging, you're going to be 10 years behind in camera tech. Everyone else is only going to be 5 years behind, because, cameras have not reached a peak yet, especially on
They
phones.
certainly
And if you
haven't.
look at one of those old YouTube videos, you can tell, there's a lot of old YouTube videos filmed with trash, and then there's a lot of old YouTube filmed with actually decent devices, decent cameras, and you can tell the difference very easily in the long term.
Can I ask though? Ever since people got the iPhone 10 and started uploading videos with the iPhone 10, I'm using that as an example. Have you really noticed that much of a change?
Yes, I have.
I haven't. I watched videos that were shot on iPhone 10. They look like they were just filmed today.
Again, can I intervene? Can Can I say something here?
Go ahead.
So Alpha, I know that I know you might not like the sound of it, but it could also just be that maybe your vision isn't quite as good, so maybe that's why you don't notice the
Well,
difference.
I don't think.
Well, here's another thing I want to point out too.
I think it's more of he's not really he's not really trained to see the camera differences as we are.
Well,
or
one thing I
that's
want
what
to
I
point out too.
meant.
What has changed about standard lens filming 4K at 60? What has changed since iPhone 10? Just standard video recording 4K at 60.
The quality the software processing has, so that way it looks better now.
And the colors.
Yeah, that really hasn't changed much, if I'm being honest.
And,
Yes, it has.
but
No, it hasn't.
Yes, it has.
I feel like you're convincing yourself that it hasn't, because you want reasons to switch back to the XS Max, but
No, I'm not. I genuinely cannot tell the difference. I've put the two video clips side by side, and I looked so hard. I cannot tell a difference.
well, we can. I'm sure there's a lot of people who can because, one time I uploaded a video that was shot on a better phone, and somebody DM'd me on Instagram saying, "Hey, how's your video look so much better?"
Yeah, and I immediately notice the quality the difference between shooting YouTube videos on my iPhone 8 Plus and shooting YouTube on my iPhone 11 Pro Max, and when even from Apple Maniac YT uploaded a YouTube video on his iPhone 8, I can immediately tell from the audio quality it was worse. And then once he said that he was filming with his iPhone 8 instead of his 10s, I realized, oh, okay, that makes more sense.
All right, so I've got an idea then. Next month, when I film more videos, I'm going to film one video entirely with the XS Max. I want you two, at the end of the month, to tell me which video I filmed with the XS Max.
Alright.
Okay, I've got another idea for a challenge.
Which channel is it going to be on, since I know you have a few channels and I can't really keep up with all that. I mean,
Yeah, I probably should keep it to one channel.
I thought you had like two, then I realized, oh, he has three. And I think there's a fourth one, right?
There's
I have
7.
You have 7 channels?
I have 7 channels, yes.
Are they all consistent uploads?
No, they're not all consistently uploads. I consistently upload to the Gadgets and the Drive channel. Oh, and the Beats channel. Wednesday every week, a new Beats video posts. But yeah, that's a challenge I want you guys to... I want to see what happens. Throughout the month of March, one video I'll make is going to be shot on the XS Max, and I want you guys to tell me which one it is.
I have another small video idea. Why don't I switch to the iPhone 10 for a week and see if I notice any to see how it truly is to go back that far.
Because
I have a 10.
But
Well, I had to use, I was debating between using my 11 Pro or my 13 Mini when I had to get my 14 Pro's display replaced. And when I started using the 11 Pro, I immediately noticed how slow it was, and I was like, no, I'm not using it. So I went to the 13 Mini. It just felt laggy. I don't know how else to describe it, but it was just laggy,
I think it's really just a question of, do you really care to even notice differences like that? And I just don't care. I've never been one for must be maximum performance all the time. Anything less is unacceptable.
Well, as you'll find out, I'm not always like that when I now get on to my last topic. However, I do I'm just prone to noticing everything, even out in the real world. Like I read almost every single billboard I drive by. So I'm promo, and I even and whenever I'm watching a movie or TV show or even just out in the world, I specifically try to look for different types of tech and just weird things in the world just to look. So again, it's just that I'm very prone to noticing any weird things, but that's just more of a me thing. And I do
But
notice
yeah,
a
that's
lot.
my thought on that matter.
Do you guys want to move on to the next
Anywho, what were we
topic?
talking about? um, what were we even talking about in the first place?
The potential 15-inch MacBook Air, though. My next topic is a
Oh
much
yeah,
more
that.
exciting one.
All right, list it.
Apple is going to be holding a live in-person event this week at the Steve Jobs Theater for Apple employees exclusively for the first time since the iPhone 11 event back in September. Or no way, I think the MacBook Pro event, 2019 MacBook Pro event, so October
Oh,
2019.
wait,
But
they didn't have a MacBook Pro event in 2019. The 16-inch was a press
Yeah,
release.
the September event was the last event
oh, September.
that
So
they did
so it was
live on
September
stage.
The
2019.
16-inch was a press release. I remember that.
Okay,
Yes.
so
Yeah,
yeah, then this is going to be the
on
first
Saturday.
in-person event, which whilst isn't too exciting since it's just for Apple employees, it might not seem exciting, but what you know what does mean?
Probably gonna be WWDC in person.
At the Steve Jobs Theater, like how Apple events belong.
Yeah.
I mean, in a sense, it's kind of exciting, but I really liked how when they were forced to stream their events online, I really love the idea of just making such a production out of it.
To
I don't
me,
like
that
it.
just
I
looks
just
so.
hate it.
Yeah, that just doesn't
If it's
be.
if it's in person and they do some dumb crap to waste time, people can do it off the stage. But if they do it over stream, what were people gonna do?
Yeah, and people can all.
Imagine they waste like an hour of our time on Apple TV crap again.
Then people can start booing Tim Cook. And another
You know,
good reason is that people is I've just been watching video clips of Apple events now ever since 2018. So I've just gotten so used to seeing the Steve Jobs Theater, and even now when I watch a lot of retrospectives on Apple products, I see a lot of events located with that iconic blue gradient background that I even use as my thumbnail base for a late season 1 of TIFPE. That just feels so much more like an Apple event than whatever ugly, whatever weird crap they've been doing.
yeah, honestly, I think that if they did it in person, they wouldn't be able to get away with a lot of the dumb crap that they try doing.
Yeah, they would not be able to get away with anything as much, which is
Could
more
you
or less of a
imagine?
better thing.
Hey, could you imagine if they did the iPhone 12 charger removal in person?
That would probably
Probably
get
go the
booed
same
off
way
the.
that the headphone jack went.
No, people would be throwing stuff all over the place because everybody makes such a big deal about a charger brick being removed and then a headphone jack.
Am I the only person who just didn't care or something?
Like, I cared, but it wasn't the biggest thing in the world.
I care.
Buying iPhone.
I cared because it used to be free and because it's handy to get power bricks out of iPhone boxes when they ship and earbuds too. That made me pretty irritated because it used to be free and now it's not free. Though if you buy your iPhones at AT&T, you get a free power brick, which is helpful.
But the headphone jack, though, that is something that I do not care about one bit.
Nah.
I do not.
I didn't even know Apple removed the headphone jack when the iPhone 7 first launched. That's how little I cared.
I cared about it for a week when I got it, and then when I got my 7 Plus, I didn't care at all because it's not a big issue. Just go for wireless headphones. You know, oh, you have to replace them every 2 years. Okay, cool. It's not a big. It's not the end of the world. You have to buy new headphones every 2 years. Spend $100 every 2 years. You know, it makes no sense to me why people get mad about that. No, you got to charge your headphones. Yeah, well, you would probably spend way more time unraveling your earplugs if you had, wired earplug, whatever. Because just charge your headphones overnight, and, can't tell you how many times I used to pull out my earbuds and they used to just be all tangled up, and I would have to spend 10 minutes untangling them.
That's why I never really used earbuds and just used my device's built-in speakers for so long until 2021 when I finally started using AirPods on a normal basis because that's how irritated I was of finding wired earbuds so much so that I just used the speakers, and my ears used to be a lot more sensitive to earbuds too.
I've been using like AirPods since they came out, really.
I started using my mom's AirPods back in 2019. Got my own pair of AirPods too back in December 2019. Gave them to my dad. Then he gave them back to me back in August 2021, and I started using them again. Then I upgraded to AirPods Pro 1 in Christmas 2021 because I needed noise cancellation. Those are terrible, so I upgraded to genuinely a bad product, which always needs an upgrade no matter what. So I got AirPods Pro 2 back in Christmas 2022, and now I just use my AirPods all the time. I use my AirPods to edit my videos.
The way I've handled the whole removal of the headphone jack situation was I was actually upset at first because I am an extremely heavy audio listener. I listen to a ton of music. The people who live with me and at work, they all think that I'm crazy because I always have a set of headphones or earbuds in my ears, but that's because I love listening to music. I love listening to podcasts. I love listening to so much. So when initially I found out that the iPhone 7 had lost the headphone jack, I didn't actually watch the event because I wasn't that hardcore Apple enthusiast. I was mostly Samsung enthusiast at the time, if I'm being honest. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'm never buying an iPhone if they're just going to remove the headphone jack like that. And then a year later with the iPhone 10, that was when I discovered AirPods. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, that's better.
See, I don't like wired earbuds or earphones, whatever, because you
I don't either.
Your device. You're tied to your device.
I don't either. The way I used to store them was actually around my neck and not in my pocket, just because I'm so tired of untangling the dang things.
Yeah, so if I'm at a desktop, sure, that's fine, because, you're not going to be moving around, but if I'm at my phone, I will never use wired earbuds unless I have to, because I think it is a waste of time having to untangle them, and then you can't go anywhere, further than maybe 6 feet away from them if you have a really long cable. It is annoying.
Yeah.
And I was mad when they removed the headphone jack, because I was like, oh, this and that, because that's how I was back then. I would, get mad about stuff that wasn't my issue. Luckily, I don't do that anymore, but, I ended up buying a pair of wireless headphones, actually. I bought some QC35s from Bose. Never looked back. Never. Not once when I wanted a pair of wired earbuds or earphones.
Yeah, the only time I want wired headphones is when I'm editing audio. But for casually listening, no, I don't need the wire. I can easily do without it.
Editing audio, I don't really love using earphones or anything because I like, full-on speakers. So I just use speakers whenever I'm editing audio, and that's just how I am. Honestly, I just use my monitor speakers because Studio Display has pretty good speakers, and
the reason why I edit audio with headphones is because My ears are very good at detecting sounds, and when you add more sounds, say like my space heater is currently going right now, that will actually throw me off in terms of mixing sound, and I need to remove all background noise. So that is why I wear headphones. And the other reason too is most people won't listen to their stuff with headphones anyways. So
Yeah, it makes sense.
to me, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wear AirPods because there are some times when I even go like to just have a YouTube video playing on my iPad, and I like to wear my AirPods and just walk around and have to do something. It's handy to just have my AirPods, that way I can still listen to my content, but at the same time do whatever I need to do.
Personally, I'd rather listen to stuff on my HomePods, but because I have to be courteous to everyone else, because they don't want to hear the stuff I'm listening to, gotta wear headphones.
Yeah.
That's why I wear earbuds,
I don't
so that
like it.
way. So that way not everybody else has to listen to what I'm listening to. Because I don't like it. I don't like listening to whatever other people in my house listen to. So I just listen,
Yeah, I'm pretty
put
sure you have
earbuds
a
in.
one-story house, right? So that would be annoying if everybody else had to.
Yeah, luckily I don't have a big family, so it's not that much of a problem, though. Still,
I'm sure they don't really mind, but
yeah, they don't.
yeah.
Alright, so I've got some other big news about YouTube that will impact, that may or may not impact us.
What is it?
Susan Wojcicki is stepping down as YouTube CEO and is being replaced by Neil Mohan.
Who's that?
Just some guy.
Just some guy.
I don't know who he actually is,
That doesn't sound very confidence-inspiring.
other than the fact that he's originally from India.
Hey, editor Alpha DeWolf here. Yeah, we said some stuff, and you guys are not allowed to hear this stuff. And this right here is where the stuff used to be. Alright, now that stuff has been said, back to the show.
No offense to those people, but there's a lot of people there that definitely aren't to be trusted.
Like the people there who in India that like to call us about our car warranties.
Yeah, what's funny is, well, actually not really what's funny. The truth is 90% of India, the people there, they're great. It's just that small percentage of people who participate in the scamming industry and the, I don't know, child phone harassment industry, whatever it is. Yeah, they suck, and it sucks that that's the image that they paint over India.
Yeah.
The truth is, most of the people there, they're great. It's just, this is the image that they get.
And I mean, the United States, it's not
Honestly,
like we
it's
have
not fair to them.
some bad people too. I mean, we have some scammers here too. In every country does.
I'm sure that everyone over there thinks that we're just riding around listening to Kenny Chesney while playing football on our tractors all day. Because I guess that's how Americans come out to other regions.
What did you say that we come out
Yeah,
as?
there's a lot of...
I'm sure that over there and in other regions, they just think that we're riding around on tractors all day playing football while listening to Kenny Chesney,
Who is he?
a country singer.
I have no idea who he is.
You don't know who Kenny Chesney is?
Nope.
I got, like, how many albums of Kenny Chesney?
No, I've never heard of him before.
It's pretty good.
Very popular country singer.
Very popular. I haven't heard of him.
I'd start singing one of his songs, but I don't want to get this copyright striked.
Or maybe I might recognize one of his songs, but I wouldn't know. But I didn't know it was him singing.
Here, let me see if I can pull up one of them, and I'll just cut this part out of the podcast. Let me see. Kenny Chesney. Oops.
Because I'm sure somewhere on the radio at a public place, I might have heard a song since they play a lot of country music in public at the play businesses I go to.
Play on the HomePod, please.
Hey, editor Alpha DeWolf here. Yeah, we said some stuff, and you guys are not allowed to hear this stuff. And this right here is where the stuff used to be. All right. Now that stuff has been said, back to the show.
Yeah, I know.
There, that's Kenny Chesney.
Yeah, that song is actually great, and maybe I've heard it, but I don't. But now I know who he is.
There's also one about a tractor that I think that you would like,
Oh,
or one that mentions
Yeah, let me pull-
tractor.
she thinks my tractor is sexy.
I've never heard that one before.
Let me see.
I can picture it.
Hey, editor Alpha DeWolf here. Yeah, we said some stuff, and you guys are not allowed to hear this stuff. And this right here is where the stuff used to be. All right. Now that stuff has been said, back to the show.
Another example.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I think I might recognize some of his music now that I've heard of it. Maybe that song is specific.
Which one out of the two did you like the most?
The first one was probably my more favorable one. The second one is really good though.
Yeah, he's been around for a bit, but makes great music.
Yeah, the other kids at school might make fun, might not like that. I don't know who Kenny Chesney is, since I know a lot of them listen to country music. All right, well, now we're back on the podcast. I've got some updates about the Jewish hacker.
Oh, great.
So his name is supposedly Evan, and
So what might these updates be then?
as one of his friends supposedly texted Tabby, which, will Tabby go into that?
That's my computer now. It just freezes.
Tabby.
Huh?
Oh,
Could you repeat yourself? You froze up on me, actually.
Oh, I wasn't speaking.
do you want?
No,
do you want?
Teddy, he froze on me.
Do you want to go into the Jewish hacker's friend that texted you?
I was the one who got texted.
Pretty sure I got something too, but I deleted it. I was like, yeah, whatever.
Well, the number was from a different area code, and he asked in proper English if his friend Evan had been texting us under the name the Jewish hacker.
Oh yeah, I still have it here on my phone.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that it's just some dude that wants to. I don't know. It's whatever.
Why haven't I reported that as junk yet, actually?
I don't think that really does it. I don't know. Who's texting me earlier today saying some stupid crap about a weasel and a donkey?
Oh, of course. And we also confirmed.
Cloud email something donkey at
Of course.
gmail.com something.
All right. Well, we also got confirmed one of the Jewish hacker's associates' faces. We confirmed one of his faces because do you guys remember back when we had Emmett on and he had to go leave, and we had that uninvited guest come on.
Oh, I remember that too well.
So he texted a photo of himself to Alpha, so now we know
Why
who.
would he do that?
That was sent to Tabby.
Why would this dude send a photo of himself to one of us?
When he's gonna
He's
just
got
gonna get
mental
himself
problems.
reports to the FBI.
Don't know what the FBI is gonna do once they see that dude's face. They're gonna think, "Oh, this guy's harmless. These people are crazy. This little kid's harmless." Because the dude looks like a.
I don't know. From the sounds of one of the messages I got, I thought he was about to send naughty picture.
Oh, I thought.
No, a naughty picture, which actually would have been illegal.
Put that bombs away.
I thought he was going to do it.
I don't want the FBI showing up to any of our houses.
Now, yeah, I don't exactly want an FBI agent coming to my
Even
house
though I'm sure
either,
the NSA
but
even though I'm sure
we
the
have to
NSA
report
can-
this. But at the same time, it is good. It would be important for us to report this, so that way we can have the Jewish hacker finally taken down. Because I'm sure that he's not the main kid causing it. I'm sure there's some adult that's
It's
bossing him
probably a group of
around.
12-year-olds sitting in some garage doing this because they don't like us.
At the same time, though, it would take a lot more technical knowledge to do what the Jewish hacker does.
Well, no, what he does is he knows when we record because I'm sure that we said it in one of our, videos once, and then, he takes that and he's like, oh, I'm gonna, wait till these people start recording, then this and that, and, because he texts me around the clock sometimes, I just don't really mention it a lot because it's just, to be completely honest, it's BS, that's what it is.
He actually tries to bombard my phone with messages while I'm actively playing the organ at church. But little does he know that I actually turned my phone off during that time.
What did he say during that?
I just delete them. I don't even read them. I just delete them.
I read them.
I don't even bother reading them because I know it's just a bunch of BS, so why bother?
I read it because it's like, okay, well, there's something the dude wants me to know, so why not figure it out? And then if he texts me the same thing again, I'll know all this and that. And then, if he's gonna, the dude he's crazy.
He's got mental problems. He's got serious mental problems.
I guess so, but in that case, he wouldn't be able to really be charged because either way, if we forward these messages to.
I don't care if he gets charged or not. I just want him stopped.
Well, yeah, but what do you think the FBI is going to do about this literal kid texting us? That's the thing that gets me.
Well, I've started reading some of his stuff again just because I'm looking for incriminating information, and I thought I was about to get it, to be honest.
Well, what is it?
Hey, editor Alpha DeWolf here. Yeah, we said some stuff, and you guys are not allowed to hear this stuff. And this right here is where the stuff used to be. Alright, now that stuff has been said, back to the show.
So
Anywho, next topic.
for school, I haven't posted about this yet, but I actually bought this Casio Illuminator watch. It's because Apple Watches are banned at my school. And hang on, if I turn on the light of it, you can see that's just a normal digital watch made by Casio that claims to have 10-year battery life.
Is it any good?
It's a little bit uncomfortable. It's pretty bulky, but it cost me $30, around
Oh,
about
that's good, I guess.
$30,
I
and
just
it
remembered I
works.
still gotta look for my Sterling.
Sort of. Sometimes, like one time earlier this week, it decided to go into military time, and I couldn't get it back until it suddenly changed itself. Again, this is a 20.
That's a digital watch.
Yeah, it's a 23-year-old digital watch. or at least I think it's around 23 years old. However, on the bright side, my grandmother actually has some of my grandfather's old watches, that are analog, so I might be getting one of those depending on whether they work or not. So I might wear that to school instead.
Yep. Just wish I knew where I put my sterling.
Type of watch.
Yeah. Okay, there's the old Casio, but where's the sterling?
You have a Casio?
Yeah, it died 7 years ago or something. I know, I got it 7 years ago, and it died 3 or 4 years ago or something.
Do you still ever wear your sterling or not?
Well, considering I can't find it, yeah, I do still wear the sterling. It's just on special occasions.
Yeah, I always wear my Apple. I should make a video about all the watches I've ever used, but my first watch that I got was back in 2015. It was a gift from my great aunt and great uncle. It was a Timex watch, and it's analog. I need to get a bigger wristband for it, though I could technically still use it. It's just very small because it's meant for for very little boys. But that was my first watch, and I wore it sometimes in first grade. I got it sometime in 2014. So now I don't really wear it much though I didn't really wear it much after that, just because my wrists at the time were a lot more sensitive. Then I got a Fitbit sometime for my 9th birthday, and I used that a little bit. And the last I used it was 2019. Now I no longer use it because Fitbit's owned by Google, because I don't even know where that thing is. I also got a cheap smartwatch from my school that I took apart back in early 2019. That was back in May 2017, and it works just fine. And it was okay. It was just basically like a cheaper Fitbit. And I also got my Apple Watch Series 0 sometime in around early 2019, though I misplaced that, and I haven't seen that thing in like 2 years. I need to either find that or else get buy another Series 0. And then my first full-time Apple Watch was my Apple Watch Series 5, which I'm going, and that's been my watch ever since.
So, and then after this one, you've ordered basically my watch.
Oh, that's the next topic. Okay, so I was actually not planning on segueing into this topic this way, but here's the way I originally planned on segueing into it. So, what has been the one piece of tech that has not changed since both Alpha and Tabby first met me online?
All three of our Apple Watches.
I meant with me.
Your watch, I guess.
Yep, because I know obviously I've upgraded my phone twice since I met both Tabby and Alpha. My voice got deep. Funny enough, yeah.
When I met you, I actually had the SE, and then I went to the Series 7. So I've had the Series 7 for 13 to 15 months. No, about 15 months.
I even had my Series 7 for a year, and yeah, I was wearing the sterling before.
Yeah, I upgraded my iPad right here for my 7th generation back in May. I upgraded my MacBook. I had to switch laptops a lot until March 2022 when I got my 2019 60-inch MacBook Pro. And I've upgraded my AirPods twice since I met both of you guys, but my Apple Watch has stayed entirely the same. And almost that entire time, the type of band, which is just a blue line on band, has stayed the same too. Though now That's starting to change because my original brand broke, so now I'm wearing a case in my mom's old band. Alongside my mom's old watch, because I got this back in Christmas of 2020 when my mom upgraded to the Apple Watch Series 6, which she doesn't even use anymore.
It seems like it's done pretty well for you.
Yeah, I mean, its battery life has never been great, but I knew that going in, and it was nice just to have an app. And this was the first watch that I ever wore full time because it was so smart that I realized and it had good battery life, and I could actually pair it up to my phone, so it was a real necessity. I realized that watch was a necessity for me at that point, and that the Apple Watch would be my watch of choice.
Yeah.
However, can I actually
I
go?
don't typically view a watch as a necessity, but
At this point, somebody had to, step away to use something that may or may not involve a toilet. So, now that this moment in time has passed, let's continue with the show.
Alright, sorry guys for the interruption, but I had pizza and I'm lactose intolerant, so apparently lactose do not help.
Well, the other week I had pizza and I was on the toilet for a couple hours one night, actually.
Yikes.
Let's get off of this topic.
Yeah.
Let's go off of the toilet topics. Okay, so getting back to my main point, I bought an Apple Watch Series 7 that is blue and 45 millimeters in GPS. My dad agreed to take out part of my salary in exchange for the Apple Watch alongside the money I already had. And it was $355, and I ordered it on Amazon, and it should be coming within 4 to 7 days.
So what spec of it did you get?
45 millimeter blue GPS.
Oh, so basically my watch.
Yeah, your exact watch. I bought a Series 7 because, as I already stated in my video that I made, most recent video, I just I'm not really in a good financial place right now to buy a nicer Series 8 or an Ultra, and I wanted and I wanted the absolute minimum of what features I needed, and I also wanted the blue of the Apple Watch Series 7, so I bought a Series 7.
It makes no sense to buy Series 8 anyway, because what are the differences? Like, there's one feature that I want, and that's the wrist temperature.
And car crash detection, though
Which
my
we
phone
can't
has
even
that, but it's not worth an extra $80.
Car crash detection doesn't matter to me because I got the 14, but I'm pretty sure that I can use wrist temperature because somewhere in my health app it said like average wrist temperature, and
I have not heard the case.
I don't know. Maybe
To my knowledge, it's only for women.
Maybe I'm wrong. I think it was in the sleep.
Sam Cole could do that.
Oh, Sam Cole and I have a lot of beef at the moment.
What did you guys do?
Well, he doesn't really know me, but he said a lot of things that just piss me off.
Oh, I get it. Yeah, let's not get into that because he doesn't even
And
really
it gets into politics.
want to get into that.
Can you tell me about that later? Because I actually haven't heard any of that, and that's actually very interesting to me.
Oh, I can. Let's pull up his Twitter
He
right
really
now.
lets loose on the Genius Bar about this. That's why.
Yeah, right now, I guess I don't want to ever get into politics on anything public. In private, that's different, but in public, that is...
Yeah, I've almost come close to doing it the same. I almost got into a heated debate on Twitter because of a political issue.
Yeah, on Twitter, I used to do that crap all day. It's like, it's such a waste of time.
Yeah, it truly is.
It wastes
There's no point.
Exactly. And
It's just a losing game, no matter what you try to do.
I have never changed anyone's, like, on Twitter, I've never changed anyone's opinion. So it's not worth the time,
I'm in the process of scripting a very, very controversial video, actually. And actually, I kind of want to know your guys' opinions on this too.
Oh, what is it?
We all know about the very annoying case between Apple and the App Store and developers.
Yep. I know about. I'm already interested.
What is your guys' take on this?
Okay, I think it's fair. Okay, here's my take on it. It's fair for Epic Games to complain. It's not fair for Epic Games to complain about rules and then to literally defy them. It's like kids complaining about not being allowed to wear their Apple Watch at school and then going and wearing it at my school and then wearing it anyway. At the same time, it is Apple's rules, and the 30% cut is less than Google Play's. I think 40% cut, YouTube 55% cut. It's less than all of that, and I just think that's being blown out of proportion, like how all Apple controversies usually get blown out of proportion, even though with other tech companies it's not much better. And even my dad thinks that I'm a little bit biased in my opinion on it, even though I think it's just fair. And my dad also is a big follower of Elon Musk and Tesla, so we all know.
I feel like it's the kind of argument where it's like, it's the rules, and why is it that they want special treatment, but they don't want anybody else to have special treatment? Because they don't care if other developers get 15. What's the cut right now? 30%, right? So they don't care.
It's 15% for smaller developers, and if you make it big or whatever their threshold for that is, then it ups to
$1 million.
Yeah, it doesn't matter because it's the rules, and rules are rules. That's the truth.
For example, why would one seemingly care about? Well, like why would I care about only me being allowed to wear my Apple Watch at school when there's a lot of other kids at school that wear Apple Watches? Or that have Apple Watches but don't. Some wear them, but there's a lot of other kids at school that have Apple Watches but can't wear them.
Yeah, the short summary. I don't want to explain too much of this because I'm in the process of still scripting that video. But my basic thought process on this is, and there's been a lot of other branched off arguments that have kind of roped their way into this. But they all stem to Apple is not in the wrong. This is not a battle for fair treatment or anything. This is all a battle for power and control.
Yeah, because if Epic Games gets all the money, then they automatically have more power. So it makes sense for them to want more money. And Epic Games too got sued by the U.S. government.
You're freezing up on me.
For cheating people out of money, as there was that one kid in the UK who accidentally spent 1,500 euros on V-Bucks in Fortnite.
And we experienced a little connection issue, so, okay, connection issue resolved. Back to the show.
Yeah, can you repeat yourself again?
Oh, what was I say?
I heard something about 1,500 euros wasted on V-Bucks.
Or yeah, there was this one British kid who spent £1,500 in Fortnite because Epic Games Fortnite didn't say how much real money he was spending, so he spent £1,500 on V-Bucks in Fortnite. And due to many cases like that, Epic Games got sued by the U.S. government, and so now they have to pay back all Fortnite users.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, this whole... And actually, I've recently watched a video from Louis Rossmann, who brought up something, and he has an interesting point, but I can instantly tell that he's completely missing something to back his opinion up. when you buy an iPhone from Apple, who owns it?
You, to be honest,
You.
they own the software, you own the hardware.
Well,
Even though you really
here's the funny thing. Yeah, well, here's the funny thing. He claims that Apple still owns the iPhone because they have so much control over it. You can't modify it. You can't do anything. You can't do anything to your phone because, well, it's not your phone. Apple still technically owns it.
Reminds me of what my dad would say, and
That's
Hugh
his
Jeffries
logic.
would also say.
That is his logic. And I have a lot of respect for this man, but this ain't one of his brightest comments.
Because software is owned by Apple. It has to be owned by Apple in order to make it work properly. However, the actual hardware is owned by you. For example, if the phone came with no software on it, and if you want to install Linux on it, I mean, you own the phone, so technically you're allowed to. However, Apple has a lot of software locks, and they also that prevent you from doing that, and they have hardware locks to help keep your data safe. So Apple...
Well, here's another thing I need to point out too. Technically, once the software that ships on your phone, you technically own it. And you should know this yourself, Teddy, because you jailbreak this all the time. If you didn't own a copy of the software, then Apple would have every single right to send lawyers to come right after you because you're jailbreaking the device for something you don't own.
That's actually a valid... Oh my gosh, I should have realized that. I've jailbroken, I think, 14 or 15 iPhones.
I don't think Apple's ever going to send cops after anyone for jailbreaking a phone.
Precisely.
They can't.
And every
was the
single
case
time
about that
when
in
you
2010.
either set up a new iPhone, every single time you set up a new iPhone or get a new update, notice how there's always a terms and conditions menu that pops up?
Yes. That's because you own it.
The way I see it, every single time you hit agree, that becomes your receipt
Never thought of it that
for a
way.
new software that you just purchased for free. Interesting thinking, right? That's how a lot of my video on this is going to go, by the way.
Well, I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, this is going to be a very interesting and controversial one.
Well, my next video, which is going to be out by the time you guys are watching this episode, is going to be a farewell review of my Apple Watch Series 5.
Yeah, I suppose that thing's treated you well for the past how many years it's been out. I actually don't remember when it came out at this point.
It came out in September 2019, though I didn't get mine until December 2020. It served me very well. Well, now it's just time for me to upgrade. It's time to get better battery life. It's time for me to have a bigger screen. It's time for me to have fast charge. It's time for me to have all this cool stuff that the Series 7 has. Riker from Tech World didn't really think his Series 7 was that great of an upgrade from his Series 5, but I would have to disagree with him on that one, at least from my standpoint.
You're getting one massive thing. A lot of people will say the Series 4 or the Series 5 and the Series 8 are the same exact thing, but
They're not.
Part of these people don't understand is that there's a massive screen upgrade. Elias keeps saying, "Oh, I should have bought a Series 5 or whatever." He was saying something like that a few months ago. But no, the thing is, he got a Series 7, right? And
Yeah.
the one thing that every single person's going to realize on the Apple Watch, unless you're blind, then unfortunately you can't, is the bigger screen, because it's got less bezel. And I think that's good. I think it's a really cool.
Yeah, I've held
change.
I've held my Series 7 side by side by many Series 4s, 5s, and 6s, and I can always tell the difference, and it just looks better. And everyone I show this watch to, they look at the new Series 7 display, and they do notice it, and they like it. They prefer it. When everyone was disappointed in the Series 7 launch because it wasn't square, and they all just wrote it off as like a Series 8 upgrade per se.
It would look terrible if it was square. Absolutely.
I agree.
Terrible. I think
That's so ugly.
my stainless steel Apple Watch is the best working watch I've ever owned.
I agree. I would buy I want a stainless steel Apple Watch Series 8, but it was just a bit too pricey for me, where I might just as well just get the Ultra. But if I buy an older Apple Watch for my collection, I'm definitely going to try to look for them in materials besides aluminum, like stainless steel and maybe even ceramic. And for the Series 0, I might even try to look for the gold one. And by that, I mean the real gold one.
Yeah, I think that the ceramic series, what was it, 2? Looked absolutely amazing. That was the best Apple Watch design Apple ever made.
The Series 5 was the last Apple Watch to come in ceramic, and they're quite expensive now, but I really hope to find a ceramic Apple Watch because those look so cool. And I really wish that Apple made the backs of iPhones in ceramic, and maybe even the sides, because that would be far more durable than the glass backs.
And another thing is, the bands that came with the ceramic Apple Watches looked amazing too.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I just think they're overall just such a nice looking device, you know? I really wish they still did.
Yeah, not fun to machine though.
I'm sure that's the case.
Let me look up I'm gonna look up a
not
ceramic Apple Watch Series 2 on eBay just to see how much they go
I'm
for.
doing right now.
What?
I'm doing right now.
Yep.
I'm that right now.
Come on, eBay load.
$150. Okay. $237. Oh, it just looks so nice.
That expensive? Jeez, I thought Apple Watches tanked their value faster
They do.
than
Most of
iPhones.
them do. Oh, there's one for around $100. That's white ceramic. Oh my gosh!
It just looks so nice.
Oh my gosh! It's not bad, honest. It's not too. Oh, and it's boxed. Oh, I'm getting a serious collector's fever right now. And you know what usually happens when I get collector's fever if I have money?
You're probably gonna end up buying one before I do. But that's fine
Here.
because I don't have use for one.
Yeah, one goal of this year for my Apple collection is I want to expand to buying older Apple Watches. Because because I feel that there's not a large enough base for doing. I feel that unlike the older iPhones, older iPads, and older iPod Touches, there's not enough of a community out there that focuses around older Apple Watches when that really shouldn't be the case, because older Apple Watches, it's fun. They're fun to look back at, and the first Apple Watch is 8 years old. 8 years old.
Yeah.
Though maybe we just need to wait another year or so for older Apple Watches to become more of a community-based thing, since it really wasn't until 2016 that collecting iPhones, older iOS devices, really started to take off.
Oh, the Series 3 also had a ceramic edition.
Yeah, all the Apple Watches from the Series 2 to the Series 5 have ceramic editions.
Series 4 did?
Yep.
Yeah, I wanted to say I don't recall Series 4 having one.
Or I know the Series 5 had one.
Series 5 does. The Series 5 has that cool gray ceramic.
Yeah, that was one of the Series 5's highlighted features. It was the return of ceramic.
Oh, yeah, okay, there was no ceramic Series 4.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And then they got rid of the ceramic again because they're mean. At least in this case.
Oh, luckily I'm not spending any money on Apple products anytime soon.
Orangey, stop arguing.
Huh?
Orangey was arguing for my cat Stella. Had to.
It was $150 ceramic Series 5. Oh, that's not. Yeah, that's an aluminum one that someone mislabeled.
Oops.
I don't know how somebody confuses.
I didn't know that Series 5s were that cheap.
I wish that the Apple Watches still had like the Series 3's corner aperture or whatever, corner curvature. Because I liked that, but I did not like the bezels.
I hate those so
the bezels were
much.
bad.
A few of my classmates
My
still had
aunt
Series
still
3s
rocks a Series 3.
or below, and they just looked so ugly. Or the watches, not the people.
Series 3 watches are so hard to look at.
Oh my gosh, yes. And yet my mom's finally starting to move on. My mom finally thinks that doesn't think that the Series 3 is the best Apple Watch anymore. Now she has an Ultra.
Oh, she upgraded to that?
Yeah, she upgraded to an Ultra for Christmas.
Yeah, I'll say massive upgrade compared to the Series 3 with what display size was that? 42 millimeters?
She was previously
42
using
to
a Series
49?
6. But she loved the Series 3 so much because of the battery life, and she's got better
That's
battery
one of the
life
reasons
now.
why it's not good anymore.
Yeah, the battery.
I don't get it. I just don't get it.
The battery on mine is just trashed.
On your Apple Watch Series 3 or
Apple
Ultra?
Watch.
Ultra.
I only have a Series 7.
Oh, I thought you had an Ultra. Oh yeah, you gave that away.
Yeah, but I've had Series 0, like the original Series 1, like the first one, and I had the Series 2, then the 4. Then for a little while I had an SE before I ended up selling that off because it was a downgrade from my Series 4, but I needed an Apple Watch quick when I got bad. And then I had, now I have the Series 7. And I probably shouldn't have bought the Series, the SE. The Series 2, that had a feature that I really wanted, so I went and bought that when that came out.
Yeah,
And we experienced a little connection issue, so, okay, connection issue resolved. Back to the show.
Well, to wrap this up, I have one more piece of news per se that.
I have one topic that I want to go over lastly.
Okay, let's hear Tabby's first, then
What?
Alpha's.
So,
All right.
do you guys remember how my iPhone was at 100% battery health 3 weeks ago, right?
Yep.
Yep.
It dropped to 96 over last week. So it went from 98 or 99 to 98, 98 to 97, 97 to now 96. And it doesn't matter because, the battery on this thing's not going bad. But technically I am at 92% battery health right now though. Because Apple battery health is always 4% behind, or it's always 4% above what it actually is, because the phone's batteries come with 104% of what they're advertised as, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
But yeah, I don't think battery health matters unless you're buying a used phone, because you're going to gradually get used to the battery degrading, and it's not going to be...
Yeah. Well, that and these things last like 2 days at a time under normal usage. So, I mean, how long does your phone last? Do you guys charge your phones overnight, or am I the only one who does?
No, you're the only one who does.
I've charged
So, what do you
mine.
end the? So, when do you end the day at? What percentage do you end the day at?
Me?
Yeah.
Right now I'm at 47, and that was because I was transferring files all day through a USB drive. But normally, I do, usually at night I'm on a video call, so that'll drain my battery to 0 pretty quickly. But if I'm not, I can end the day anywhere from like 50 to sometimes like 80 or 90.
Yeah, most of the time I end up at around 60%. That is if it's a light day, which is usually the case. And the days that are heavier, say like filming days, for example, that's when I'll typically end at around. It's a wide range. It depends on how much filming I do and how long the content is, but somewhere between 25 and 40% battery.
Yeah, the batteries on these phones don't really drain. Teddy, what's your like average? How many days do you go without charging your phone?
Okay, let me think here. Usually I can go anywhere between 2 to 4 days.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Usually it's 4 days is actually not that common though. Usually it's more like 3 days. And usually it's around the same. And it's usually more like 2 to 3 days with my iPad. And it's usually and sometimes on my MacBook, usually when I'm podcasting, the battery drains a lot quicker. But if I'm not podcasting, then I only need to charge my MacBook like once a week.
My MacBook, I've never charged that because it used to always be docked, and now it barely gets used now, to be honest.
I bet it's because of the Mac Studio.
Yeah.
Yeah, my MacBook's typically plugged in because most of the time when I use it, it's actually here at the desk. But when it's not plugged in, I'll go at least 4 days of editing on that thing. It doesn't even flinch.
Yeah, my MacBook would flinch when doing that, though I only edit
And if all I do is
on
like
average of 2
scripting and
days a
such,
week.
then it'll go like the entire week. The endurance on that thing is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, my 2019 MacBook Pro can't really go do that. That's why I'm going to be upgrading to M2 Pro MacBook Pro later this year.
It's a good option.
One thing I want to actually throw out there, don't throw out the M1 Pro.
I knew you were going to say that. And there's a reason why I'm not going to throw. There's a reason why I'm throwing out the M1 Pro. It's
used.
Yeah, it's also sometimes I have to buy them refurbished, or sometimes I have to go through Amazon. It's just a pain. It's just a pain, and when I'm spending that much money, my 2019 MacBook Pro was again one model behind the 16-inch MacBook Pro. 2021 MacBook Pro and I got, and yeah, it's already starting to lag behind, and that's really
well. That's because it's the old Intel architecture.
And when I'm spending the money am on a MacBook, I'm sorry, it's gonna have to be the latest one.
It makes more sense to buy a brand new MacBook than anything really, because it's like people keep MacBooks for years and years.
Yeah, I want to keep my MacBook for a really long time.
It's a year old, or no, the old MacBook Gen is a year old, so.
Yeah, people keep their MacBooks for a while, whereas people don't keep their Apple Watches for quite a while, so it doesn't quite matter as much when I'm buying an Apple Watch Series 7, especially if it's not that much. If it's only $355, so it's not a big amount. But when I'm spending upwards of $1,000, it better be the latest one, and it better be spec'd up to perfection, or else somebody's not going to be happy.
Yeah.
All right, what topic did Alpha want to go into?
Oh. Not too sure what you guys are going to think, especially during that talk towards the beginning, but I don't think I'm going to buy the iPhone 15.
You're not
I'm going to skip it.
Wait a second, Alpha. Are you sure you're feeling okay?
Positive.
You don't want to. So they're going to bring back
something to you guys. I need to explain something to you guys. When you're the age I am at, I'm not gonna get specific with that, but you guys both know that I'm an adult, right?
Yeah.
That means I have other priorities, and even though, yeah, I am a tech enthusiast, and I always will be a tech enthusiast, right now I'm at the early stages in my adult life, and I need to be much more wise with what I spend my money on. And spending it on new phones all the time when I only use them exactly the same as I currently do with my older stuff, at that point, I'm just wasting money for other things that I really should be saving up for. Like, I need to get rid of my car for one thing. It's not holding up well. It's actually really holding me back. So I need to get the car replaced. I also need to look into a house. I'm not going to live here forever. I hate living here, in fact, a lot. And so because my priorities have shifted a lot, I can confidently say I'm not going to upgrade my smartphone because, guys, let's be honest. The iPhones are so good.
They are good.
Even though, yeah, I'm not getting USB-C, which is something I really want, the frequency of which I use the charge port anyways is so infrequent. I wirelessly charge my phone every night.
You might want to
I
use the
Bluetooth
charging
headphones.
port more. Oh, wait a minute. You charge your phone overnight. Okay, never mind. Okay. Honestly, at this point, I can see you doing that if you stick with your 13 Pro Max. However, if you go back to your 10s Max, there's a chance that might even get drop support for iOS 17.
I doubt it, but there's a chance.
No, not iOS 17.
Yeah, there might be a chance that
Apple's
they're
gonna give
dropping
iOS
2
17
generations
to that
at
iPhone.
once. They're probably going to get support up until iOS 18, though. It's something to keep in mind is that when a phone's in that kind of jeopardy, you can't be using that as your main phone anymore. There's just no way.
Here's the thing that you can think about. You could have had that phone. Let's see. If you bought that phone when it came out, that phone would have already seen a president and soon to be 2 presidents, I guess, in about another 2 years. So if you can have a phone throughout 3 presidents, well, depending on if what's his name gets reelected, the current guy, but
Joe Biden.
that's, you know.
Hey, editor Alpha DeWolf here. Yeah, we said some stuff, and you guys are not allowed to hear this stuff. And this right here is where the stuff used to be. All right. Now that stuff has been said, back to the show.
Yeah, but it just seems to me, honestly, like it's just like yes, they might not be that slow yet, but it's the type of thing that can go from good to really bad in an instant. And when you're at your age, I wouldn't really rely on something like that, because if you're without your phone for a little while, that can be a big problem. You know, that could end really badly, honestly.
Well, just because if I were to switch back to that doesn't mean I'm getting rid of this.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if you have 2 phones and one of them's, older and one of them's newer, the newer one, it just makes more sense to keep using, because you've already had it for 7 months, 6, 7, 8 months.
6 months.
Yeah, and it works fine now, and it's from what I've been dealing with all these phones I've used, it's not worth it to switch your phone out, because it'll end up causing problems. And then another thing is, that'll be probably the first time that I've ever used a phone longer than you, if you get rid of the 13 Pro, or you stop using the 13 Pro Max so soon, because I'll be keeping my 14 Pro longer than you kept your phone, and that's probably something that you don't want to, be beaten in keeping your phone the longest by the dude that keeps his phone for 2 months.
Yeah, that's not.
Well, I've used my 10s Max for over 2 years.
Yeah.
So
How
I still have that title, and I still have the phone here too. But At this point, the reason why I want to switch is because I don't find myself happy using this phone. I don't enjoy using this. I enjoyed using the XS Max much more than I did this. I bought this because I thought I would appreciate the camera features more, and I don't use them any different than I do my XS Max.
Here's a way I describe. Here's a way that I view going back to the iPhone XS Max. So let's take back when I was in 7th grade, which was last year for me when I was in online school. I absolutely hated it, and I really wanted to go back to in-person school. However, once I got back to in-person school, I realized that it was not very fun, and that maybe and I really began to miss online school and really began to appreciate it once I went back. And the same thing goes when I lived with iOS 6 for a week. iOS 6 is fun and nostalgic, and it's fun to mess around with, but tech has sure come a long way, and it's not like flat iOS. And honestly, skeuomorphic iOS, even though I love it so much, it looks outdated and doesn't look like it would really fit in today's society.
I don't know. Like, in general, it's not the biggest thing, but it's just one of those things where it's like, you know, it wouldn't make that much sense, really, you know. But if that's what he wants to do, I'd say, you know, it's his decision overall.
Yeah, it's your decision.
It's not going to end the world, you know.
It's not going to end the world.
And that's one of my points. It's a phone, you know. Like,
yeah.
They exist. You know, there's good phones, there's bad phones, and in the end, you know, whichever phone you have is whichever one I'd say is probably the one to keep, because I probably would have went back to a 13 Pro if I had a 13 Pro, but then I realized it's just not worth the hassle. Because while the 13 Pro I feel like is better, it's not worth the hassle, in my opinion, because...
For me, it's not much of a hassle because I still got my phone. It's as simple as pop the SIM card out, put it back in.
What about all your data?
Yeah.
It's all still on the XS Max.
I meant all your new data.
Had from the past 6 months, because I'm sure there's at least some stuff that you would want to get over. And
I don't keep a lot of stuff on my phone.
And then I'm sure the battery on the XS Max was going to be, you know, a bit of an inconvenience, because what is that now?
Yeah, I'm thinking about actually just taking that to an Apple store at some point and getting a battery swap. But another thing I probably should have pointed out too.
One thing I will warn you about, there's 2 bad outcomes. One, they could replace the whole device. Sometimes they'll do that, and I'm sure you don't want that because the phone's got value to you and stuff. 2 is sometimes they will leave these mean pry marks on the side of the phone whenever they're opening it with one of those metal tools. And that they will leave these just giant gouges in the side of the phone while opening them.
Yeah.
If they were to do that, then it's up to them to... That's a problem that they caused. They'd have to pay for that then. Because that would be unsatisfactory service.
You said the phone has value to you. Well, I mean, if they replace the phone, then you're losing the phone. And then if they pay you back, it's not going to fix the issue, you know?
Yeah, good point, but...
Yeah, I would say maybe do it yourself, but then you wouldn't get the battery health reading, and that would also be a bit of a risk still.
I could care so much less about the battery health. I don't even look at it anymore on any of my devices.
You could, but you would also, wouldn't your iPhone also warn you about it not being a genuine battery?
Oh, and also if you did get it replaced, you would lose your spill resistance.
My phone's not near water anyways.
It's just one of those things that, you know, just one of those things that would be a bit annoying if you had to use it.
Well, yeah. Even in its current state, the battery hasn't degraded that much. I would still be able to end the day at just above 20%. So, unless I do a filming day, then I have to charge in the middle of the day. And one more thing that I need to point out too, one of the days this past weekend, I decided, okay, I'm going to leave my 13 Pro Max, not on the charger, but next to it, and instead do everything on my XS Max, because I can still make phone calls with it and view text messages as long as the 13 Pro Max is on. I just felt better using it. I felt better using my XS Max.
Why don't you go for an 11 Pro Max, honestly? Just try to, like, sell your 13 Pro Max off and buy an 11 Pro Max, honestly, because, you know, you can...
Alpha doesn't want to sell his 13 Pro Max.
Yeah, I'm not selling the stuff I currently have.
I mean, I'd say, you know, it's probably worth it just to get an 11 Pro Max, because it's newer, you'll get some of the camera benefits, like the wide angle. You'll be getting the battery increase and all that.
Yeah, the last thing about the XS Max that, yeah, I know you guys might think it's petty, but I do still care about it. I miss that design.
So do I.
I miss it so much.
Honestly, I'm probably the one person that will say this, but I prefer the 14 Pro design in the feel of the hand than something like the 10. I don't know why. I just pick up my 10, and I have more grip over the 14 Pro, and I like that a lot.
Yeah, my 10 doesn't have a whole lot of grip
Yeah, I'm
to
the
it.
opposite.
Oh, you got a silver 10 actually? Oh,
Yeah.
it's Space gray.
Yeah, I have a silver 10.
Mine.
Oh,
Mine
that's
used
the
to be-
prettiest.
Mine used to be space gray, but let me show you. But mine used to be. I have a few. This was one of my 10s.
Oh, yikes!
Yeah.
Something.
What happened to that thing?
So this one, the back was all scraped up. So I swapped it into a different housing, and I forgot what happened for this to happen, but I'm pretty sure I was trying to get a part out, and it just made more sense for me to destroy it. And also you can tell the camera glass is third party. And then somewhere around here, I also have and housing. Although it looks like I misplaced it, but it was a space gray housing. It was cracked, but it was still in decent condition. Oh, here it is. And then I have this, which is kind of cracked, as you can see there.
Yeah.
And it's got nothing inside it. And then the one issue that I have with my current 10 screen falls off, and now it's not turning on at all. It's because stuff keeps falling off inside too.
Ooh.
That's
This phone just has a giant scratch on it, but luckily it still turns on. At least I think it turns on.
Oh, and Face ID doesn't work on this either.
Oh, that's
Oh, that
great.
makes sense.
See if we can replicate that green line happening. It looks like the green line's not going to show up, but put this thing back in its case.
Yeah, luckily the 10 that I got for Christmas works, and and look at this thing. It's such a beautiful phone.
I really like the design of the silver 10. I used to not like it, and the space gray one I like too, because the space gray, that's what I had back in the day. That's nice.
Yeah, I've always preferred the silver 10. And then they came out with a gold XS Max. Then that became my favorite.
The gold XS Max is so beautiful. I want to get one of those someday.
I had one back in the day, and every time I use like a gold XS Max, it's cool, but it's like, you know, I think I'd rather have like a silver one at this point. The 10, that was definitely a really nice looking phone.
I think the 10S has the best gold in my opinion. It has the gold on the 14 Pro, which I'm looking at right now due to these so ugly camera bump. Looks like so washed out that it doesn't even look gold.
Hey, you want to see the first Apple device with a camera bump? I have it.
I have one too.
I got one too with an expanded battery.
Unfortunately,
Or I have the iPod Touch 5, the actual first one.
it's close enough. These devices really were compact for their day.
They sure.
Yeah,
They're still compact now.
well,
like
then
the
there's
iPod
the
Touch
iPod
5,
Nano.
this is-
That is crazy thin.
This is such a
Nano?
beautiful device.
Yeah.
That I need to clean.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this
And then
this
there's-
thing is still crazy thin. It's like, how did they even fit the headphone jack in there?
These ones. And
I mean, the iPod Touch 5 was the thinnest Apple device ever, Apple device ever made until the iPad Pro 2018.
I'd
It's
say
that
that this
bad.
be thinner. I'd say that the iPod Nano might be thinner than that.
Or it's at
Yeah,
least
I
the
think
thinnest
so.
iOS device. It was the first iOS
And-
device
Oh,
to
well,
come out
iOS.
first.
Okay, then
Yeah.
yeah, that would make sense.
Look at this. This is one of the thicker devices. I don't know if this works. I got this for free.
I have 3 iPod minis that all work. Two of them have degree. One of them doesn't power. One of them only works on the charger, but they all work.
Another device that I actually really like is these Nano or Touch 4s. These were very thin.
You know, my iPod Touch's designs haven't aged very. Whilst they've aged terribly, they've also
timeless.
aged amazingly at the same time.
They've aged amazingly from the sides, but from the front, not so well. Nor the okay, I guess there's an argument they didn't age well from the backside as well.
I meant from the front they
From the
aged
back,
okay, but from
I'd
the
say-
back they aged okay. I mean, as long as you know that they're
You
old,
look
it
at the
doesn't really
back, like,
matter. But the
You don't
back
see-
sides aged a little badly.
you don't see anything like this in modern phones. Like closest
No.
you can get is maybe closest you can get is maybe like the 10, the side of the 10.
I really wish that it'd be cool if wireless charging didn't have stainless steel could work with wireless charging.
Hey, check this out though. This is a pretty thick phone though.
I have one. I have one of those too.
I don't know if this one works. I just take this thing around the mall to see what people say whenever I.
This this I don't have a charger for it, but it worked. But I have it.
Yeah, so Elias took this thing and he said, "Do you guys support Apple Pay?" He took this, tapped it against her ears like it's not working. Someone's stuck.
That's funny. Yeah, so I walk up to the gas station all the time. The way I pay for my gas is I go in and pay with Apple Pay, and I still blow everyone away every single time I walk up and use my watch to pay.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
my dad. Yeah, it'd be cool if my parents used Apple Pay, but they don't, and I can't use Apple Pay because I don't have a transactable bank account yet. Once I get one, I'll use my Apple
I
Watch
learned
to pay
that
for
holiday
everything.
gas stations do not accept debit cards.
Why not?
Beats me. But they do not accept debit cards.
Most do not, or just some.
All of them do not. Holiday Corporate does not accept debit cards.
I'm sure there's gotta be some gas stations. I know some gas stations accept debit cards because all my
Well,
relatives
yeah.
are able to pay for their gas with debit cards.
That's how I have to pay for gas. I don't have a credit card. So, yeah, there are gas stations that do accept it, but holiday gas stations, they ain't one of them.
I've never even heard of that before.
Yeah, I kept trying to use Apple Pay with my debit card all the time, and no, it would not pay for it. I'm like, why is this not working? I kept having to pull my wallet out and pay with physical cash every single time, and then finally, I went to a holiday gas station and went to pay for a drink on a road trip, and then the clerk already stops me and goes, "Oh, we do not accept debit cards. Holiday Corporate does not accept debit cards," which really explains a lot.
I even still have the original battery for my Nokia brick, but I don't know if you can see that, but maybe I should get rid of it. Actually, that's first time. Nope. Ooh, that's not good. Well, do you guys have anything else you want to talk about on the podcast, or do you want to wrap it up?
I think that's about it.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm out of ideas and I am so sleep deprived. I need to get to bed.
I'm sleepy too, and I need to go script my video. So, as always, thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the iTunes Fanboy Podcast. As always, I'm Teddy Maggart from the iTunes Fanboy.
I'm Tabby Cat.
My name is Alpha DeWolf from the Random Alpha.
And as always, we are signing off for now, and tune into our next episode, I guess. Or if you're watching this a long time from now, just tune into one of our other episodes. So as always, thank you all for watching or tuning into this podcast, and peace out.